do that again.
It's October, and it's a time of the year that jerkbaiting works really, really well. And this is a jerkbait rod. It's a very short rod. It has to be short because you stand on the seat of the boat and you slam the bait downwards into the water, so it has to be short therefore, and very stiff, so you can impair the action onto the bait. A multiplier filled with 80-pound braid. That may sound a bit heavy for a lot of people, but it isn't actually, because what you should never do is give the pike a chance, as they used to say in the 70s, because the only chance a pike has with this kind of work is that it dies a horrible and slow death with a big bait in its mouth if the line breaks. So to avoid that, you use 80-pound braid, nothing lighter than that. And at the end of the main line we put a toothproof trace. This is fluorocarbon, used for musky fishing in America. It's 100-pound fluorocarbon. A lot of people don't really believe in fluorocarbon. I think it's not good enough for pike, but I fished with it now for 2 years and I never lost a pike. No, I had never a pike that bit through it. So it's not so much that it's invisible, because that's how it's advertised. I don't think it's invisibility of it that attracts me in any way. It's the fact that it's very light. It's way lighter than a steel wire, so your bait will have a better action in the water, I think. But whether that's true, I don't know. But anyway, we're going to tackle up, and I will show you the one and only knot that you should use when you're jerkbait fishing, and with that goes for all lure fishing actually. I'll show you how it works. You take the line double, like that. You stick it through the eye. No, like that. You hold the double end here between your fingers and you twist it 5 or 6 times around itself. Then you see you have a loop formed here. You stick that end through and you slowly tighten it. This knot will never break on you, and I mean never. This is the best knot ever invented, and any other knot is inferior compared to this knot. So there you go. I have a collection of jerk baits here. This is the Buster jerk. It's a very easy to fish jerk bait. It's a kind of a glider. They call it a glider. It goes like that through the water. It glides. A Dutch handmade jerk bait. It's called a goose bait. Well, you can see it's been attacked many times, and it continues to do so, even though all the paint is gone. But it's still a super catcher. We have a phantom jerk bait from the States. We have another Dutch homemade product called the Torop that's also supplied me with many a big pike. We have a small salmo. Sometimes on days that the pike are not really in a feeding mood, these small little jerk baits seem to work better. And this one caught me an awful lot of pike. We have a swim bait, a pro swim bait. Yeah, you would swear it's a live fish when you see it in the water. We have another Dutch homemade, an Adam, a bull, very nice bait. I caught many a big pike on that. A small little cormorant jerk bait, goes very shallow and it goes very erratic through the water. And a few soft baits. We have a toad here, and God knows what it looks like, but the pike love him. And as you can see, it's been attacked many times. I had to glue it together again. A big pike destroys it, unfortunately. That's why that industry is going so well, I suppose. Something I made myself. I just glued some components of different baits together. It looks like God knows what, but it works. And last but not least, the good old bulldog, the 12-inch bulldog. It's actually, it's not very good for your shoulders to cast this all day, but sometimes it just seems to work. They seem to see something in it and they engulf the whole thing. Like sometimes the hooks are really deep down, so they see something in it that we obviously don't. But as you can see, that's been glued together. It's been taken so many times. It's full of well, damage really. There's a lot of damage done to this bait. So that's it. In the old days, I would take an awful lot more with me, boxes and boxes of jerk baits, but this is nowadays what I more or less use, and so let's see if they work today. our way now to spots where we hope to find a pike. And in the meantime, while we're driving, we show you what we did in April, because we did a bit of filming in April as well. Here it comes. It's the 2nd of April 2009. I'm after pike on Lough Derg, and the spawning time has just basically finished, come to an end, and the pike should be hungry. It's very sunny today, which is normally not very good, but then again, you never know. So we start fishing at depth of around 13-14 feet and see if there's any action. We start trolling, and we troll about 20 meters behind the boat. I'm using a Spro pike fighter that goes about 2 meters deep, and I have ready for use a selection of baits here. A couple of pike fighters. There is a pike fighter, goes about 2 meters, a Nils Master, shallow Nils Master, a small shad wrap, which is sometimes an absolute killer in spring, a nameless plug that I once bought in Holland. No idea what it's called, but I caught numerous pike on it. There is the good old-fashioned J14 Rapala. There is a super shad from Rapala. There is a Spro, a rattling Spro. I have a couple of jerk baits ready as well for later. But first we do a bit of trolling, and we see what happens. So I started trolling at around 15 feet of water, and I'm making my way into the bay till approximately 10 feet, and as soon as I reach 10 feet I go back to the 15 feet. In that way I cover all depth really between the 10 and the 15, and as soon as you find a pike, all you have to do is you look at the sounder and say it's 13 feet, so you stick to the 13 feet for a while, because that might well be the depth where they're lying at the moment. You never really know. It's been a cold night, and they might go a few feet deeper. You never know. You have to find them again every day, but often, as soon as you found them at a certain depth, they will be there the rest of the day. Like, not always, but very often in any way. As you can see, I continuously make jerking motions with the rod tip, because I strongly believe that the stop and go movement of a bait is way more attractive than when you just have your bait in the rod support. I've always done this, and I think it outfishes people who just hold the rod or just put it in the rod support. Continuous jerking, that is the key for me in any way. So we're now at 12 feet. We're making our way to the 10 feet, and see if we meet something. Now we try something else, something with a very, very loud rattle. See if that wakes them up. Still a bit early. So we've given up trawling for a while because it's flat calm. It's not really the type of weather to catch pike trawling. So we're doing a bit of casting now on a very shallow spot in the middle of a bay. It's very rocky. There's a few plants here and there. And I fish a jerkbait that goes very shallow, just under the surface. And we'll see if that works. Oh, yeah, got one. It's a good fish. He hasn't started fighting yet, so I'll just give him a bit of time. That's about a metre. I'd say 1 metre and 2 centimetres, that's my estimation. We'll see if it's right. Well, he's not doing much, so I'm going to take him out. Now he's waking up. Oh, oh, that's a good fish. That is a good fish. Do a quick measure. 1 metre and 7 centimetres long. All right. Now, it's a nice fish, isn't it? So he's going to swim again. It's a nice start. First fish of the day, 1 metre 7. So we support the fish until it swims away on its own, which is now. Whoa, that was nice, very enjoyable. Next one. That was, by the way, that was caught on a cormorant German little jerkbait with very heavy rattles in it. And he seemed to like that, so we'll go on to the next one. Not a very big fish, but still it's a nice pike. Only just hooked. No. It's not a bad pike, actually. He's come back about 80 centimetres, something like that. There you go, my boy. My girl, I should say. Off you go. Now here you see a jerkbait that has caught numerous pike. As you can see, all the varnish is gone. It's basically just a plank of wood, really, but it still catches fish. So you can see all the teeth marks in it. It's a great jerkbait. It's nothing, just a piece of wood, really. That's all it needs to be. So we'll keep that on for a while, and we'll go to a different spot. Now, I caught 2 pike casting, jerk baiting, and then there was a long time with no action, so I decided to go back to the trawling. So we go back to how we started the day, go back to around 10 to 15 feet of water, and see if there's anything happening. There was a tiny bit of a ripple on the water, which is in any way better than flat calm. So we'll see what happens. Oh, good fish, yeah. Feels a good fish. He doesn't know what's happening yet. Now he's starting to cup on, I think. Now, it's about 95 centimeters. Nice full pike. Lovely fish, very heavy fish actually. So that's number 3 today. It's the first one trawling. So he's going back now. Off he goes. Right. I think it's a big trout. It feels like a big trout. No, it's a pike, it's a pike. Oh, and look, the pike has a lamprey attached to it. That is quite unusual. He's not ready yet. He is now. Almost. He's an angry little man. Now, gotcha. So the lamprey fell off. The lamprey had itself attached to the fish here. You see where it made a wound in the pike. That's where it sucks the blood and the tissue out of the pike, but it just let go before I could show it to the camera, but it had a lamprey on him in any way. Now, nice fish, heavy fish, nasty wound though. There he goes. and away. A little jack pike who couldn't resist the ever-catching shad wrap from Rapala. There we go. Now I suppose it's time to go home. It's been quite a hard day actually, quite a hard day fishing. We had, or I had five pike, one big fish, a few nice fish and one small fish, but sure, could always be worse. And I know now who the culprit is for the bad production this day. It's the moon, and the moon is visible somewhere there, up there. And if the moon is visible during the day, fishermen stay away. Bye.
We're back in October. It's a cold morning, and I just arrived at the first spot that I want to try. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the anchor out, because these days I think that anchoring and jerkbait fishing actually is way more effective than drifting, because when you anchor you can actually fish a spot really precisely in a fan shape. You kind of fish a half circle around the boat. And if there is any pike, and if they're active, they will eventually lead the bait. So I'm going to anchor it around 11, 12 feet, and I cast towards 9 or 10 feet where the plants actually start, because that's where they normally hang out. So I'm going to put the anchor out now. I attached a second line, a second rope to the anchor rope, so I don't have to every time go to the front of the boat to lift the anchor out. I can just take it off here, off the rowing pin, and just pull it in, so I can actually stay in my little compartment here. Now, let's give it a try. It's actually very sunny this morning, and the same as, if I remember well, last spring, the moon is out and visible, and I don't really like that, but we'll see, you never know.
Not a bad fish, I think. In fact, not a bad fish at all. felt a bit bigger than it actually was, but it is because it's hooked on the side, and then they always fight like possessed, like this kind of stuff. Okay. No. Good fighter, you were. He did his very best. He's going back. Right, I hear from a lot of tourists that the fishing is really bad in Lough Derg, and they have problems catching fish. Like, well, I just want to show you a method that I didn't really think of it myself, but I kind of modified it a little bit. It's an old method, and that's a method that will always catch fish. Like, and it consists of a heavy weight, as you can see here, on some stainless steel. That's about would be 150 grams with 5 ounces of weight. A line, 2 swivels, a long line where you have a steel wire on and a small bait. And the thing with the bait is it should be a very shallow going lure, a very shallow plug. So the whole idea is you let the whole construction sink to the bottom. You wait till it hits bottom, and that was now. You give a little bit of extra line, and you trawl it, and while you trawl, you give little jerks with the rod tip. If that doesn't catch fish, you might as well go to the pub, really. So the whole idea is that you follow the bottom contour. You could of course use a plug or a bait that goes very deep, but this actually hugs the bottom. This system hugs the bottom, and very often shoals of perch are very close to the bottom, and they won't come up to take something that goes over their heads, like so. You have to come very close to them, so that's why the heavy weight. And if you see that you're not hitting bottom when you let it drop back, you can give a little bit more line. And all you really have to do is you wait until you see shoals of fish on the screen, and you stay on that depth. Like, we have now 25 feet, and I haven't seen shoals of fish yet, but they will come, I'm quite sure. Now there's fish appearing on the screen. There's lots of fish on the screen, so with a bit of luck, might get a bite here. That was one. Oh, and I missed it. I missed it again. Yeah. Oh, and I missed it again. That was big. I think that was a pike, the way it took it. I'm now basically trying to catch a perch, just to show you how easy it is to catch fish. But if you use a bait slightly bigger, you have a very good chance on pike as well, because there's always lots of basically smallish pike living in the depth, and in the depth I mean in between, say, 25 and 35 feet. And you would get them as well with this method. Actually, it's quite deadly, really. Yeah, there's one coming. It's not a very subtle method with that heavy weight and stuff. You need a fairly stiff rod for it, but you could even use a beach caster for it if you want. It's not subtle, I'm the first to admit that, but it does catch an awful lot of fish. There it comes at the end of the long line. It's not a huge perch, but sometimes you catch really big perch with it as well. And pike, as I said before, so. Now, it's so easy to catch fish if you use the right method, and this is the right method. There you go. Nice sized perch. Here he is. Oi, missed one. Now I got him. That's a nice perch. And then show him to the camera. The beautiful fish. The first fish I ever caught in my life was a perch. I'll never forget it. It was a lot smaller than this one, but it was imprinted in my brain forever. Off he goes. Yeah, it's a small pike. So you can see that this method works not just for pike or for a perch, but for pike as well. Now, off he goes. He was living in the deep somewhere at around 30 feet. You see all the lice on his body. They often get that when they lie on the bottom for a longer time. So, off he goes. So when you use that method, you can basically catch fish all day. If you find the right depth, you have almost constant action. So highly recommended. Perhaps not for big fish, but for numbers, definitely. Now, I showed you the method, and it's really very easy, and all this stuff is very easy to make yourself. And small lures you can get anywhere, and you're almost guaranteed to catch fish. But that was it for today, because we're going back to pike fishing, because that's what we came here for in the first place. So. The sun disappeared a bit, or is disappearing actually, and it's getting a bit chillier and a little bit more wind, so it might improve the fishing a little bit. Now, we'll see. Now, nice fish. Now about 90 centimeters, approx. Now, here he goes. And off he goes. Come to daddy.
one baby pike goes back. He took it right at the boat. Doesn't realise what's happening yet. No, that was him. He robbed me of my toad.
Yeah. Come on, Klaus, are you ready? And now one who couldn't resist the buster jerk. And he was not ready yet. Now, lean, mean, and not so much fighting machine. Here he goes. Nice fish, I think. Fish, I think. A free shower. This is a serious fish. I want to avoid that he's jumping out. I don't want him to jump because often when they jump they shake the hooks out. So just hooked. Oh, I got it. Yeah. Oh, that is a heavy fish. That is a very heavy fish. I'd say this lady would be about 1.10 meters. Just going straight back. She gave some fight. You're a good pike. There she goes. Oh.
She is very, very heavy. Oh, look at the width of her back, like it's a very heavy fish. That was good fun. That was an enjoyable fight, as they say. An enjoyable fight. I'm going to get another one. Nice fish, around, let's say about 90 centimeters long. Nice lady. And there she goes. He's a great fighter for his size. He's not even that big, but he fights like he's possessed. Now I have to bully him a little bit. And there he comes. Nicely hooked in the scissors, as they say. There he is, and this jerk bait, a friend of mine made that, a German friend, Mark Schlusemann. Mark, thanks, it's a great bait. It's a lovely jerk bait. That's what she thought as well. You see, this is one of these cases that a cutter, a wire cutter comes really handy. You should always have a wire cutter on you, because he's hooked in a slightly awkward way. And I don't want to damage him, because at the end of the day, the well-being of the pike is the most important thing. Now, totally unharmed on this bait. Cheers, Mark. Off she goes. It should be about 87 or something centimeters. A nice fish. There she goes. Nice. Oh, that's a nice fish. Oi.
she's not ready yet. That's what I thought. I suppose we can chance it now. No, it's going deep. Come on, boy. Girl, say. There she is. That's a nice fish. Again on the Mark Schlusemann special. Nice pike, about 90 centimetres I suppose. Nice fish. Off she goes. A few taps on the sides. Bloop, bloop, bloop. There she goes. Smart fish. Again on the buster jerk. Okay. There he goes. Toad strikes again. Nice pike on the toad. The toad is still intact. Can use it again. Off he goes. That pike grabbed it right at the boat. Right. And it's a big fish. I don't want him to get into the anchor rope, so get him under the boat. Bad one. Very big fish. And he's not big. Or is this a whopper? He's very heavy. We'll measure. Give you a nice shot.
Now, we'll measure, it's not completely accurate, but she came approximately up to here, to 110, 1 metre and 10 centimetres.
It's a very good fish. It's another whopper. Big pike. No, I'm going to try him. He's not having it yet. That should be her last run, I'd say. She's a mighty strong fish. Well, look at her go. There she goes again. Whoa, 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 whoa. Now I'm going to bully him a bit. And I got him. Oi, 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 oi. This is a serious fish now. This is a very serious fish. I'd say that won't be far off the 1.15 m, perhaps even a bit longer than that. He's very, very heavy. The scissors on the buster jerk. Look at the size of this fish now. Whoa, whoa, whoa. This is a serious Irish October pike. Now, he's just going back. Isn't it a beauty? Isn't it a gorgeous fish? And there she goes. As usual, I support her for a while. Oh, she didn't need much support there. Now, that was fun. I think I'm going to have a cigarette. Ooh.